Can you explain to us what this means? Because it sounds as if the Metropolitan Police armed response capacity isn't able to do the job the public would expect.
I think that's right, John. I think the fact that Sir Mark Rowley was saying we're having to make difficult choices means that there are some operations that the Met would like to do that it's currently not being able to do. And that's really, really worrying. So there is armed cover in London, and they're having to transfer in some firearms officers from other constabularies across the UK to do that. But the fact that he's having to make those choices does suggest that they're not able to do the job that they would normally be able to do, and that they were certainly able to do a week ago. Before the Crown Prosecution Service announced that a firearms officer was going to face a murder charge over the fatal shooting of Chris Cabba in South London in September last year.
That is a really ominous statement, Danny. Can you just maybe translate that into what it means operationally? What would the Metropolitan Police be unable to do now that they would have felt able to do a couple of weeks ago? Can you give me a couple of examples?
Well, there are certain things that they have to do. For example, the firearms officers, their specialist officers, have to guard iconic buildings, dignitaries, cabinet ministers who are perceived to be potentially at risk, members of the royal family, and so on. They have to do that. They have to have an armed response to do that. They also have to have officers on standby in case there's a terrorist attack. Those officers have to be on standby. Then there are some armed operations that they routinely do every week to target violent drug dealers, armed robbers, and so on. Those sorts of operations, when you're going into a building or you're going somewhere and you need armed backup because that person might have weapons, might have a gun, that kind of thing is planned. It is possible, and we don't know this for sure, and clearly Sir Mark Rowley is not going to confirm anything like this. It's possible that some of those operations, perhaps they're having to delay them, postpone them slightly. That's the only thing I can think. Plus, also, the first thing to go is training exercises. Those are the things that are not operationally absolutely necessary today. So it's possible that if you've got some firearms officers who are meant to be doing training, but you need them on the front line, then they'll be transferred there. So yes. Difficult choices, that's the kind of thing I think he means.
Right, that's really, really helpful. Now, I wonder, Danny, what do you make of some of the ideas that have been floated to reassure armed officers, to give them at least some of the guarantees they're seeking when they go about their duties without fear of consequences coming back on them too easily or too quickly?
Well, look, these ideas were set out in a letter by Sir Mark Rowley to Suella Braverman at the weekend because she announced that there was going to be a review into accountability. John, to be honest, this was really done as part of an effort to try and reassure firearms officers who had downed their weapons. Look, we've got your back. We support you. We understand your concerns. We will set up a review to look at what we can do to make things better for you, so that the process of investigation is speeded up, and so perhaps the law is tilted slightly more in your favour. It was more about sending a message, I think, than anything that's really well thought through, because a lot of these issues are incredibly complex. They involve legal matters that have gone through the courts. In a couple of cases that Sir Mark Rowley cited, the Supreme Court has actually ruled about these issues. In other cases, David Cameron set up a review in 2015 to look at the legal protection of the firearms officers after another sort of concern around how they were being treated. That basically just went into the ground. Nothing happened. There was no substantive change at all. So I've got to say I'm a bit sceptical about what changes can be made. Everyone would like the process to be quicker. Everyone would. The people whose loved ones have been shot or injured following a police shooting, the officers themselves, we'd all like it to be a faster process. But the problem is these are very knotty and difficult matters, and they do take time.